Hello, my village. I'm back. It's time for our live this week. It's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Just pouring me something to drink. I miss you guys, and I'm ready. We have a pretty easy topic today, which is how to co-parent, how to build a co-parent plan that works. Hey, cousin. I'm just sharing this on my other pages before I get started. Sorry about that. Waiting for some more people to join us. Sharing to my group. Alright, I'm done sharing. Just gonna invite a few people really quick. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm just inviting a few people, y'all, while we wait for some more people to join. And then I'm gonna get started. The information that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is pretty much straight out of my ebook, How to Co-Parent Like a Boss, a guide to co-parenting like a boss. It's only $7 on my website, and I'm going to be sharing some of the questions that you should be asking before building a co-parenting plan. And it's just a few, I have about 17 questions. I might share all of them, but I know I'm going to share a few today. The must ask questions before planning. Okay, now that a few people have joined us, I'm going to start. So the first question I have is that you should talk about when you're first starting to even be a parent, period. It don't even have to be co-parenting. It's like before you have a child, you should ask, what religion do you want to pick for your child? Questions like, what is the set bedtime during school and weekends? You should have that down pat. What rules are important to you so that you can discuss and negotiate like what's important to the both parents before setting a plan. What values are important? Because we do teach in our kids values and morals, so you should know what's important to the both of you before having a plan when you're raising a kid. Will there be like technology limit? I know a lot of people limit screen time for their kids, but they have to be agreed upon on both parents. Like one parent can say, oh, they can use a tablet all day, and the other parent say, no, I don't want them to use tablets or any electronics, computers, phones, things like that. Figure out what is the bedtime routine. Also, when will dating be allowed? Like some people have teenagers. That needs to be discussed between both parents, because I hate, and I always see this happen, like one parent would say, okay, the kid is allowed to date, and they'll sneak and let them date behind the other parent's back or get nails or wear makeup, and then both parents don't really agree upon that. What are the rules for sleepovers? What age will nails and makeup be allowed? What chores are required? What form of discipline will be used? That is one important thing. You cannot discipline a child two different ways. That sort of confuses the child. Hey, Tia. Hey. So you should always discuss what form of discipline will you be using. Hey, Shantae. When it comes to children. Just discuss, will there be allowance? Some people pay their kids to do chores. I don't. I'll reward them every now and then for doing good, but I feel like it's a normal thing that kids should be doing. I didn't get paid to do chores when I grew up. Like what doctors will a child go to? Who will be at the appointments? This is important when you're there's other people involved, like step parents, stuff like that. Far as who's allowed to be at school activities, who's allowed to be at doctor's appointments, because you don't want to get there and have drama or be confused or uncomfortable when you're sharing custody with a kid. So those are questions that you should ask. Will birthdays be celebrated together or separately? This is important when you're co-parenting because you don't want drama. You have to bring two families together. So if you can't get along in that sense, yes, Shantae, if you can't get along in the sense for just being able to communicate and you don't want family involved or drama, do two separate birthdays. Or if you can get along and both families agree, you can do one big birthday and it don't be no drama, but you don't want any drama at a little kid's birthday party. You'll ask the question as, will you attend parent-teacher conference and school activities? That needs to be clear as well so that when something happens at school, the teacher know who to call. They won't get cussed out for calling the other parent. Just let them know, like, either call both parents or you guys have that communication there. But this is one of the questions I always tell my clients to ask so that you can know who is it to be, like, who is important to be in that role to take care of school stuff. If it's both parents, if both of them have time to go to teacher conference and school activities, then so be it. But who's allowed to be there? Their spouse, their girlfriend, a random, all that. Sorry, y'all, my internet just went out. I find it harder to co-parent when both live in two different states. Yes, Shantae, I done it up until last month. Literally, my son dad was living 3,000 miles away. So, hey, Brandon, I co-parented from a distance. So it is hard when you live in two different states. Like, I didn't ever put my son dad on school stuff when he wasn't living in the same state as me, because it's like, what's the point? They don't need to call you. I'll just keep you informed. But as far as like religion, like in the beginning, I know you missed it. You should always discuss what religion your child is gonna, what religion are you gonna pick for the child, and like set bedtimes and rules. Talk about values and morals that are important to both parents so that they can know what to instill in their kids. Also talked about technology limits because some people don't agree with letting their kid be on the tablets and cell phones and stuff all day. But also talk about like what sports, camps, or extracurricular activities are important. Some parents live through their kids and they'll have their kids in everything, and then the other parent don't agree and be like, you stretching them too far. Like, let them be a kid, let them have a life. I always tell people, because I see parents when I coach cheerleading, they would sit there and argue. Like, one parent be hard going in on the kid and the coaches and everything else. Like, I used to ban parents from my practice. Be like, y'all living through your kid, and I'm not about to have you stressing this kid out for nothing. So those are important questions to also ask. Thank you for joining. But those are 17 questions, and like I said, these questions are all in my ebook, The Guide to Co-Parenting Like a Boss. This ebook is only $7 on my website. It gives you tips on what to think about and discuss before you are ready to actually set a plan as far as a co-parenting plan. I talk about like what is parenting. We go through forgiveness in chapter 2. Chapter 3 is all of the different parenting styles so that you can know who have what style and then learn how to compromise with those two styles. I talked about that, I think, 2 weeks ago, where I did how to co-parent with different styles. It gives you a few co-parenting tips, and then I have the must ask questions, and then at the end you make the plan. Is your website on your page? It should be. It's Monique Atkins Coaching. It should be on my page. There should be a link to click. But I'll add it. Let me see if I can do it right now. I'm going to put it in the below, Shantae, for you. Because I wrote the ebook probably in the beginning of the year, because some people don't actually need help or to go through my co-parenting program because they already know how to communicate and they already have like somewhat of a friendship to be able to talk about what they're going to do with the kid. So I created the ebook for those who don't have to have that conversation, don't need to go through forgiveness, not resentful, not bitter, no drama, things like that. So you can go through it yourself. And I also have a co-parenting contract on my website for those who don't need to go through the program as well. because in my co-parenting program, the ebook, the contract, and the 6 weeks of coaching come included for both parents. So a lot of people don't actually need to go through that forgiveness, and they can actually stand each other and be in the same room and coexist. So that's why I separated and took out a few things from my program for those who don't need that individual one-on-one coaching to get through the co-parenting process. And for some of you guys who don't know who I am, my name is Monique. I am a co-parenting family and parenting coach. I help people co-parent with success. Also help parents deal with behaviors with their kids and help them have kids who don't need counseling from their poor parenting when they grow up. So I want to be able to bring families back together and just go back to the old-fashioned way of things being easy, no drama. I don't want these kids to be damaged and experience certain bad behaviors when they grow up and then repeat the cycle. I'm trying to break the generational curse and just make it happy again. Make people communicate with their kids, have a better relationship, have a better bond, just coexist in their children's life. We have gotten better, but I still have my moments. Everybody do. Like it's crazy because like people think like, oh my gosh, your relationship with your son, that is so weird. Like he came to visit last month, and we were gonna go to his daughter's graduation. He was probably gonna be here for a week or two, and then he wound up moving in and staying here and say, okay, I want to live here in Vegas. So we literally have been in the same household for almost 2 months. That haven't happened since for like 9 years, almost 10 years. We never lived in the same household. We haven't even been in the same state. So he was in the military. He was gone most of my son's life. It would be years before like my son would see him every so many years or once a year, and then communicate only through Skype, FaceTime. So it was a struggle, but now like they have a great relationship and they're repairing that. And he's actually been helping me in my coaching business because people are like, I want a friendship like y'all. Y'all get along, we act like best friends, because we started off as best friends. We were never together, so it was never that resentment or that bitterness. And there was times where he used to get on my nerves, but we had a friendship first, so that's what helped us be able to co-parent the way we are. And people are like, how do you do it? Like, you have 4 kids, 4 baby mamas, and y'all all get along. And we hang out, we have family. Like, I love my bonus daughters and my bonus son. And it's just so amazing. Like, we make it easy. All of us are grown. So we just make it work. We communicate. We're planning a family vacation with blended family. But that's just how we co-parent. So that's what made me want to help other people, because it's possible. If I can do it with 3 other baby mamas and my son died, anybody can do it. But, I really love it. Like, I don't even feel like I have to have any more kids because I feel like I already have other kids because we're so close, and like it's just fun. But that's why I help other people. I grew up like that. My dad had a wife, a girlfriend, 3 baby mamas, 6 kids, 2 stepkids. Like we would be with him every weekend. It was fun. Everybody got along. There was no drama. I never seen dysfunction. I never seen my parents argue. It was just a healthy relationship. Everybody got along for the kids because it's not about us, it's about the kids. So that's why it's easy for me to do it, because that's what I grew up in an environment where everybody worked together and have that big blended family, go out, have vacations, picnics, family events. Everybody go to everybody family events. It's never any drama. So that's why I like to help other people, because it's possible to have that healthy like coexisting relationship and do it for the kids. But yeah, I sometimes be like, I used to be the one wanting to punch him, but he's getting a lot better now. Like, we work together. He was probably my first client unofficially for years. But yeah, we work together. We communicate a lot better now that we're closer, but we still communicated even from a distance when I used to have to send my son to him for a month or so because I was homeschooling him, and we'll share those responsibilities. But we did used to have challenges. Like, I talk about it if you look at a few videos back. I think it was maybe 3 weeks back when I was like, have you ever been mad or upset that the other parent get to live a single life while you are stuck with the responsibilities of being a single mother? If you look at that video, you'll understand. Because I used to be angry, like we can't follow each other on social media. We haven't got there yet. But like I used to see him go out, hang out with his friends, and I'm like, how you tell me you broke, but you out in New Orleans partying when your kid needs shoes and clothes? Like, I used to get pissed off, so we basically blocked each other on social media. We don't follow each other because I used to hate seeing him have that fun life, and I'm like, I can't afford to do that because I'm raising your kid. So I used to have my moments where I used to be like, oh no, like you go buy a motorcycle and have a second car when I'm struggling to keep one to be able to get your kid to school and daycare and stuff like that. So yeah, I used to have those moments, but now it's like whatever. Now we don't even trip about the little stuff anymore, because we're both in our 30s, and it's just one of those times in my life where I just don't do drama, and I'm like, I'm too old for this. I don't got time to play games. I don't got the patience for it. I just want my son to be happy, and he is way happier now that his dad is more involved. So we had to just settle whatever issues we had. We still talk about stuff every week. We like reminisce on like, man, we used to do this. We used to say these words to each other, and like we laugh about it now because we be like, that was so immature. But we were in our young, like I was 22 when I had my son. And at that time, he was 22 too. We only 30 days apart, and he already had 3 kids. So it was like, he was already dealing with drama from other people. So I'm like, I'm not going to be another headache for you. So that's why we got along, mostly because we just like, okay, we're friends first. So it's not like I want to be with you. I just want you to be the best dad you can be. I can be the best mom. We both get our me time. Like now he'll leave, he'll take care of him. Knowing that I work from home and I have my business, and with me homeschooling him, I'm always with him. So now his dad will relieve me from those duties. Like my mom helped me. She had him on the weekends so that I can have me time, even though I work on the weekends, but I don't have to worry about being a mom on the weekend. Even though his dad is here, I still get that relief. Or he'll take him out, take him swimming, so I won't have to take him swimming on my lunch break and give up my time again for him. So he'll relieve me from those things and cook and help out, like go get the stuff I don't like to do. Go get the car wash, fill up the tank, take him for a ride, take him to the park. It's just a relief for me, and I love it. I'm gonna go watch that video because I used to feel the same way about him living the single life. Yes, we're no longer friends. See, we had to get back to the friendship part because that was the only way we were going to be able to coexist in my son's life. It took a long time, but it happened. It took a lot of communicating and a lot of understanding, because I used to ask them, like, why did you used to be away from your kid? Like, why were you okay with being far away, or why did you always move further away? Because those are the things my son used to ask me. Why do daddy keep moving farther away? Because he lived in Mississippi, he lived in Florida, he was planning on moving to Texas before he decided to stay here. And I just had to break it down, like, when are you going to ever put your kids first? Even though he got a kid in Texas, one in Virginia, one in California, one here in Nevada, he didn't have to pick my son. But I'm like, it makes more sense for you to be here in Nevada when you got a kid in California. You're only a few hours away. At least you could be by 2 kids and family and support and no drama, the 2 people that give you the least amount of drama ever. And it did make sense. So he decided to put his kids first this time. And I just thanked him. And like a lot of times they just don't feel appreciated, because he did like express that, like, everything I did was never good enough for you. And I understood that, because I wasn't going to reward you for doing one thing when I've been doing everything my son's whole life. But then I had to stop being selfish and say, yeah, I do see your efforts. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's when things change. Just the little things. I used to tell him, thank you. Like, thanks for taking them, even though that's what you're supposed to do. But sometimes guys need that push, and to feel appreciated. I talked about that in June, where the month was all about the men and like the support. They feel like they don't have support, because I interviewed and coached a lot of guys and a lot of fathers, and they feel like nothing I do is appreciated. I don't get no thank you. But I'm like, you're not supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, Us mothers don't get thank yous and hallelujahs and praises sung to us for stepping up to the plate. And I used to tell them, like, I don't have an option to go get my life together and then come back and raise my child. So why should you? So that was like a conversation we had not too long ago, like last month. And I'm like, you're selfish. And he was like, I'm not selfish. And I'm like, think about it. When have you ever put your kids first? Have you volunteered to take care of them and raise them? I didn't volunteer, but I had no choice. So I had to do it by myself. I was like, if I didn't do it, who else will? That was always my attitude. So now I try to teach him how to have that attitude. Like, if they weren't raising my kid, who else will? Like, am I going to be the one to step up? Do I want that job? Like, I have him try to think like that. Like, you are selfish if you don't think like that or put that idea forward first. How did you get over that? Talking to him. You still gonna try to let that come in, but at the same time. So you have to take your feelings out of it. I talk about that. Let me see what page. I think it was part of my parenting tips. You can't get over anything that hurts you. First, give up what you had in mind. That was one of my quotes from T.D. Jakes that I always say to people, because most of the time we can't get over certain things. Like me, I was stuck with, I didn't want to be a single mom. That was never like, oh, I dreamed of being a single mom and stuff. So once I got over and accepted being a single mom, and that my idea of being a parent didn't go as planned, then I was able to open my mind to being able to co-parent with him and have a different outcome as far as parenting than what I originally had planned. I was like, no, I'm not having kids till I get married. But when that didn't happen, it was really hard. So I put, while you're going through the process, just remember that parenting is forever. So you're always going to be a parent. They're always going to be that child's father or mother. And no matter what, you will always be parents to that child. And establish a schedule. That's what it started off like. What do you want to do with your kid? How do you feel about your kid? And your relationship. Like, I used to ask some questions like that. How do you feel your relationship is with your son? Like, do you know his favorite colors? Do you know anything about him? You know what size clothes he wear? Like, he had to get to know my son. I helped him a little bit. Like, oh, his favorite color is this. Like, just buy him a toy. So I helped him a little bit with being able to reestablish that bond, because he didn't have to have a bond with me. The most important part was having a bond with his child. And I put, keep your word to your child. Like, one of the worst things ever with a kid is for a parent to tell them, like, oh, I'm gonna come get you or take you here, and they never show up. Like, that's the worst feeling ever. So it not only hurt them at that moment, but it can also carry on to their adulthood and create abandonment issues. Like, my son had abandonment issues. Like, why my daddy always leave me, and he don't love me. Do my dad love me? He's to question that. And I'm like, yeah, your dad love you, but I wasn't sure. I should just tell him that, because I never talked bad about him to my son. And I always put control your emotions in the child's present, because that's very important. Your child needs to see you in a mentally and strong emotional state to know, like, you can't lose control. So whenever communicating with the parent, it's always best to meditate before interacting with the other parent. And just remember, it's not about you, it's about the child. So if you always keep that in mind, that it's not about me, I'm doing this for my son or my daughter, it makes the process a little easier when you take you out of the situation and also your feelings. It helps a whole lot. But the conversation I had to have with his dad before being able to get to that point was like, why? I needed the questions, the whys answered. Like, why aren't you there? Like, is it me? Because I can eliminate me from the situation and you just have a relationship with your son. Like, what support do you need from me to be able to be there for him? So I asked those type of questions, because you never know. It could be something little. They'll be like, oh, I just didn't want to deal with no drama and stuff like that. And you'd be like, okay, we can eliminate that part. Like, what problem do you have with me that we can resolve to be able to co-parent with success, no drama, all that. And I thank you, Shantae, for participating, because I was thinking of doing like the hot seat. People drop a situation, it can be anonymous. I think I'm gonna start that next month, and then we do a live coaching session for free, so that you guys can see like some of the stuff that I go through with my clients when I do the one-on-one coaching. 1 hour every week for 6 weeks in my program. And I usually do it with both parents. Like the first 2 weeks, it's each parent individually to find out what's really the problem. And that's why I tell you, like, we got to ask those questions. Because half the time it's some underlying little stupid issue that just somebody just won't let go. Like, you hurt me and stuff like that. And I'll be like, it's about you, not about the child at that point. So then I help them release that energy. Go through that confidence coaching that they need to have the strength and the confidence to be able to stand in their truth, forgive. You don't have to forget, but just communication is key. You overlook each other's flaws. That is a big thing. I have that on my my co-parent thing in my book. Always overlook each other's flaws, because it's not about you, it's about the child. So never point the finger, and you must have patience. I had to learn to have the patience of God. Like, I swear to God. I used to just pray for patience. Like, please don't let me give up on this person. Like, I want my son to have his father in his life and his siblings. But I always go through the 4 A's: awareness, acknowledge, acceptance, and action. Once you go through being aware of what the problem is, you acknowledge it, you apologize, whatever you got to do, you accept it, and then you can take action and be able to communicate and be like, oh, we were tripping off of that little stuff. Like, it become funny later. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we couldn't co-parent because of this. Or it'd be a miscommunication or misunderstanding. It could be something so simple. Then you will be able to establish a plan and build a co-parenting relationship. But I always say never badmouth the other parent in front of the child. And the process is not going to be easy. It takes time. It took me, like, I know my son and dad since 10th grade of high school. Like, we known each other since we were 15. We never were in a relationship. We were childhood best friends. And we wound up having a baby. He was my first. And so, like, we cared about each other, but it was never no relationship type of connection where we'd like, oh, I'm in love with this person and he hurt me. No, it was never like that. So it was kind of different for us because we never had that attachment. He was never with any of his baby mamas. So he had 4 baby mamas. None of them he were in a relationship with. So I never had that connection to be like, oh my God, that was my boyfriend and he left me pregnant and stuff. No, because we never had that type of relationship. And it was different for all of us moms. Like, we met at different times. Like, I knew the first baby mom because I was around when I was there the day the kid was born. And then the second baby mom I didn't find out about until the week she was due, because we both were pregnant at the same time. So our kids are 31 days apart. And then I didn't meet her in person until I found out our kids were going to the same daycare. So it was kind of weird. Because I'd be like, how you have another bitch pregnant and you didn't tell me? And then our kids going to the same daycare and you told her to go to the same daycare my kid was at. And the daycare lady was like, you know, that's his sister. And I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Then the third one, I met her years before, but I didn't even know they were dealing with each other like that, because it was a few years. I met her the day I got pregnant, put it that way. So yeah, it was crazy to come back and be like, oh, you're number 4. Like, I remember you from years ago. So we did a family trip without him, just the baby mamas, to Disneyland one year, and that's how I introduced all the baby mamas to everybody, to each other. So I was always the median person, like, keeping the communication between everybody. I always knew where he was at, even if they didn't. We all got along, even if they didn't get along with him, because we still wanted to do play dates. We always do birthdays every year. So whatever kid birthday, we'll all come in the same state and go to the birthday party and celebrate. And it was always without him most of the time, because he's only been in town for one of my son's birthday parties, and that was like 5 years ago. But it was always the moms together. We always had pictures. I'll send him pictures. I was always the one that kept the peace and be the middle person to communicate between everybody, because I'm the oldest out of everybody. So it was pretty adventurous, and it was something I had to get used to and learn to deal with. But I always took the bigger role and say, okay, I love everybody equally. I love the other kids like they're my kids, no matter what the age difference. And they love me. Like, I went to my bonus daughter graduation last month, and she introduced me to her family and friends as her other mother, her second mom. Like, that makes me feel good that we have that relationship. Like, I'll buy her gifts every now and then, like go to the parties and like talk to her. We have conversations, like mother and daughter, and she just have more moms to love and more people to love them. And it's the same with my son and her mom. Like, she picked him up when she came out here in January for her daughter's cheer competition. While I was working, my son went with her and her family to support his sister at her cheer competition. So like, we communicate probably more with each other than we did with his dad for a long time until recently. But like, I was at the graduation and she's like, we should do a family cruise. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. And her mom was just like, this is so crazy. I've never seen this before. People get along like this. And we have conversation. We're at dinner, we're talking, and people are like, dang, y'all seem like y'all like sisters and close friends. But we just share, our kids share the same dad, and we get along. But it's in a healthy way, because the kids see it and they love it, because they get to be close. I was always close with my siblings that had different moms, so it was really, really fun, and I love it. But it's just more kids to love, and the kids love it, and then we do it for the kids. So we do a lot of fun stuff and activities so that they can bond together, and it gives them a reason to come together, with all of them living in 4 different states. But now that his dad is closer, he can actually be involved and go on those vacations with us now, because he used to live in a whole nother state, so it was 5 different states we were dealing with. But now my other bonus daughter is here in town. She just got here a few days ago, so now I'm going to be spending time with her and my son. They're only 31 days apart, but he loved her to death. They FaceTime pretty much every day. They have a group chat going on. Their youngest brother, he's not there yet, because he's about to be 5, so he's younger, and he's in Texas. But we're planning a trip to go see him too. But it's not too far away. But yeah, it's just fun. Like, I always encourage people to put their feelings aside and make it work, because it's very rewarding, and it's an amazing feeling. Hey, Felicia, to see kids see you in a healthy coexisting relationship, because they light up so much. They have a closer bond with you and the other parent. They don't feel like they're in a compromising position where they have to choose between each parent, because a lot of times kids, when you can't communicate with the other parent, they're the go-between, which is not good at all. I always tell people, do not send your kid to tell the dad this because you don't want to talk to him. Like, my communication with my son dad, it used to be sketchy. So what I did was buy my son a phone and be like, you can call your dad yourself. You can FaceTime your dad yourself. He don't even have to call me no more. But that's what we started doing. I gave him his own phone, his own number, and your dad can call you. Like, at 5, he got his first phone, his iPhone. And that's when I moved here to Vegas. I sent him to Mississippi to be with his dad for 2 weeks while I moved here to get him settled in and enrolled in school for the first time. But we just make it work ever since then. Like, co-parenting from a distance is very difficult, but I've done it in a few different states. But we just make it work. And then I just asked him questions like how he felt about me homeschooling our son and taking him out of school, when my son was being bullied, I just kept him informed. Communication is the biggest part. If you can't communicate, it's going to be hard. But that's another topic that I'm going to be talking about next month. For those who, I have a few of my people in my group that have issues with, they can't co-parent. So they're dealing with a narcissistic partner who intentions are just solely to hurt the person. About that, sorry, I was getting a call coming through. They'll do everything in their power to hurt the other parent, so you cannot coexist with that type of person. So I'm going to talk about, I think next week is August. My first topic for August is going to be parallel parenting, which is like where you're totally detached from the other parent. You control everything, when they can call, how they're going to communicate. You set up all that. So parallel parenting is the option for those who cannot co-parent, or they're dealing with an a-hole, I say. But I do have that option for those who aren't able to co-parent, because a few people did reach out to me. And I've done a few discovery calls and breakthrough calls with some of those people who say, I have a narcissistic partner that intentionally tried to hurt me and I cannot co-parent or coexist with that person. There is another option, and I will be educating you guys on that. I do have spaces available next week and tomorrow for those who haven't booked their free 45-minute breakthrough session with me. You can get on the schedule. Hey, Tanya and Mallory. You can get on my schedule. You can email me or message me to get on the schedule, and I'll be able to put you in the books for your free 45-minute breakthrough call. If you have any issues in regards to family, co-parenting, child behavior, those are the things that I work with parents. But thank you guys for tuning in today. You can catch it on replay. Just do #replay so I can know you joined in. Leave your comments. I'll also be opening up to do free live sessions, sort of like how me and Shantae did today. She gave me a scenario. She asked questions like, how do you do this? How do you get through this? You can do it anonymously. Just send me your situation and I'll go live and we talk about it. We have a live coaching session so that you can see how it is, or a sample of what I work with, how I work with my clients. But I'm getting out of here. I'm trying to make this video a little short so I can upload it to my blog. And thank you guys for participating and joining me today. I'll be live again Monday, 7 p.m. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.